Guys, welcome to Seduce Mentis. I have one of my students with me. His name is Pranshu. Now, I'll tell you a couple of things that I know about him or what I've observed. So, Pranshu is 99.95 percentile in CAT 2019. But trust me, he is so down to earth. I have been talking to him like from last year roundabout, and I think we've talked a couple of times with him. But I've never thought, I'm talking to someone who's 99.95 percentile or who's come from BITS Pilani, or maybe like one more thing I want to add, a person who got a reply from Elon Musk on the Twitter. So Pranshu, I wanted to add that story, and he's got fabulous profile and very interesting. So Pranshu, I wanted to kind of introduce yourself. So over to you, buddy.
So thanks for your words and yeah, I did get a reply and that was nice. That was a good day. And yeah, so like you said, I'm I studied BITS Pilani. In BITS Pilani, I did my chemical engineering. I graduated last year, and then I'd given CAT the year before, but I had not really studied for it. So this time I was serious, and yeah, I got 99.95, and it was a bit of a like tough thing towards the end, but yeah, hopefully I can help you guys through what I've gone through.
Perfect. So Pranshu, before we move in, I kind of wanted to narrate your story of CAT. What did you do last? I mean, let's not even talk about 2018 because you were not that serious and you just gave it a shot. But I wanted to understand that when you started with the preparation, what are the things that you did categorically to kind of make it a point that you cracked? And what are the things that you avoided? So all the students who are listening to you who watch this video, they will be taking you as an inspiration. So I would love to hear that from you.
So one thing is that there are two different things: what I did do and what someone should do. So towards the end, I realized, okay, these things work, these things don't work. But it was not like I knew all that from the start. So my story has much more mistakes than an ideal path would have. So first of all, I started a bit late. I mean, there is no particular date as such, but there is still the amount of hours that you have to sort of put in. And if you have to work and if you have to go to college regularly or something, then if you're starting too late, then you will not be able to give those many hours. So that was my first mistake. I started seriously. I joined mock test series. I was not in any other coaching online or otherwise. I was just in the start. So YouTube videos were the ones I took help for with the counseling and all, the ideas, mindset and all. But as such, I was just enrolled in mock test series. That was June, but I did not actually do much till July. Like gave a couple mock tests. It was just not good.
That's
so
right.
My confidence was very bad, and I knew it. Now again, that this not might be the right indication because it's just starting in mock test, and it's also something that everyone should keep in mind because at the start, I think most people would do very bad. Like especially if your English is weak in the first section, or most people DILR section. And yeah, and then later on, so I had to join my job. So the second half of July and sort of first half of August was all gone in that. And then in August I tried a bit, and then I was not very, but that by then I decided that I'll give CAT seriously. But then I filled my form and all, but I was still not able to get into the sort of tune of everyday life to give a lot of time, as much as the seriousness required. And sometimes, I saw that one of my friends is doing something like let's say, entrepreneurship side or something. Someone is doing something else. Someone is gone to USA for their masters. So I was sitting here doing class 9 maths, and I used to feel small. I used to feel it didn't feel right, and it feels like, yeah, is it right, or why am I even doing this? So I think this is again one thing that a lot of you will face. You will not have the right reasons or motivation enough to think that I should give that investment that is required. And then again in September, so we had some, because we were in our sort of some training phase in the start. In September again we had tests for that. So again I thought I'll prepare for this also on weekends, but then I ended up preparing for those tests. And so overall in September also, I think like there was 1 week where I did few mock tests, and that was that. And I started doing a little bit of maths from the Arun Sharma book. So I had no book except the Arun Sharma's maths book. And yeah, and then
I remember you were struggling with quants, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. So my thing was I was struggling the most with DILR, but the thing with DILR was with the few mock tests I had given, I knew there is no particular book that can help me, and especially because those books are written for patterns that were till 2016, where there was fixed sort of pattern of questions. Where,
Right.
But now it was more like like random things and mixing concepts. So English. So the reason I did not have a book for mental sorry, the first part VRC was that I was getting some like good scores in mocks with VRC, and the first time I gave CAT also without preparation, I got 99.98 in VRC, and
So BARC was strong, but
yeah.
maths you were struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of
Yeah,
not easy to
exactly.
digest because you're a big guy. You got to be really smart.
Exactly.
But then it's irony anyway.
Yeah. So the thing is, I had my roommate in second year from college, and he was preparing with me, and with him it was opposite. He was struggling VRC, and his maths was strong, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
yeah, like you said. So we used to then in sort of towards September end, we used to talk now. Ki, okay, kaisa chal raha hai, and let's get serious. And by then it was pretty late. Like ideally, you should have done your syllabus by September end, and October, November you should keep for revision and mocks. Yeah. So that's what I mean when I said I have made many mistakes. So and then yeah, so VARC was strong, and even my mocks I was doing good. So I was not very worried about it. And the good thing about being good in a section is, so let's say you gave a mock, then if you have to review it, then you will have lesser wrong questions. You will have lesser trouble understanding why you went wrong. So it it's kind of like the better you are at a section, the better you get, and the worse you are at a section. So if your one section is very weak, and you think, yeah, okay, let's review this mock for DILR, but you think it will take me 3 hours, then you keep procrastinating, then it builds up. It happened with me also. And then so what ends up happening is, this is another thing. So that's why I did not have a book for or any other resource for VARC. But I don't think it will hold true for most people. And then October was there, and then I started giving more mocks, and then I was not sure ki now VRC was pretty confident, but DLR math, which one should I do? But the thing with maths was, I thought I knew these questions, and a lot of times you see the answer, you're like, it's easy. I should have got that, and it happens with everyone. So it's just the thing that it's the pressure and the sort of latency, like how quickly you realize what question it is, what chapter it is from, how much time it will take you, and how much level of difficulty it is. Should you leave it? Should you not? So those decisions are what make or break a quant paper, because it's time limited. But you can't make those decisions unless you have experience and your funda is clear. So because if you have some complicated like let's say quadratic equation question or something, so you don't know if it's how tough it is, how much time it will take. So until you have it at the tip of your fingers, you can get stuck. It looks easy, but you go for it, and then you are like, oh shit, I'm trapped here. So that was happening with me in maths. And what was also happening was that I was doing questions sequentially, and I was not, almost every time I was not able to get to the end of the paper. The last 7-8 questions were almost always remaining. So that was another thing, and a lot of easy questions too. So I knew that I had to change my strategy, I had to do better, and then again I turned to more YouTube videos for it. So there were a few channels. There was your channel, there was also a couple other channels, and then what I found was you guys had videos on mock strategies, on sort of level of difficulty and things like that. And then I thought, okay, I'll sort of try to download the mindset, and then on basis of how I am, I will try to make a strategy. But most important thing is I need to get started with maths. So somewhere in the middle of October, I started with maths, and I made a plan to do it finish it in like 20 days. So the whole book. So I decided I will do level 3 questions. Now that was another mistake, because for Arun Sharma's level 3 questions, you don't
quite high
counter those questions mostly in CAT. And the thing is, out of 34 questions, even if 7-8 questions are very tough to like level 3 sort of, then you are better off leaving them at least in the first, and in many cases even in the end of the paper also. So I was like, if I have to leave them only, then why am I doing and do? So I thought that it is good that I am doing theory and then level 3 questions. And then in some cases I did level 2 also where I thought I needed more practice, but I did not do level 1 because
So just to ask you a question, um, so you are an example wherein you started very late.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. I know, interacting with you, and you started very late. Now I tell you, there has always been this kind of taboo when people say that you start early, okay? You start early, and kind of go for cat and all that. So just wanted to understand, like from a student's perspective, is it quantity of preparation or it's quality of preparation? That's number one. Number two, there is kind of a tradition, or maybe I don't know, like I got to make some misunderstanding, but then a lot of coaching institutes will kind of focus on, they tell students that you write 20 mocks, 40 mocks, 60 mocks, and your score will grow. You score 99.95, right? I would love to hear from you that how about quantity versus quality, and how about when it comes to writing mocks? Should you be writing n number of mocks or you should be writing less number of mocks, but kind of analyze them in a proper way? What's your take on it?
So there's few things here, and one thing about quantity versus quality is, so with quantity definitely somewhere like 300 400 hours is what you would need to get like above 99.9% if you want to sort of guarantee it. Then I would say something like 300 to 400 hours would be true for most people. So that's like a rule of thumb, and that holds true. But at the same time, that is not true if you just randomly do anything. And the underrated aspect about quality is your attitude and your mindset.
Exactly.
What I mean by mindset is ki, you are someone can tell you, okay, just you start Arun Sharma's book and then you just, or any other book, and then you, or any other coaching committee, and then you do every single question of every single chapter and then make sort of circles and notes and then go back and then you do this or do that. So what you're doing here is you are following someone else's curriculum, and that is okay. But the thing is ki, then if you do it for all sections, and because those courses are made for the high, like the lowest common denominator, like for all students, then you might not be able to do it in 300 hours. Then you might need more time. So the idea is to know what you are good at, what you are bad at. And again, like exactly with mocks and reviews, it might be possible that you have given mocks. Again, there's a rule of thumb, and I do think 20 mocks at least, and maybe 20 to 25 is a good number, a great number, and we can aim for it as a rule of thumb. But while reviewing it, you might not have to for every single section. Maybe for me, I wanted to, if I had done everything what I wanted to till CAT, I would have reviewed, I would have given sectional test for DILR, so that my sectional DILR count was like 30, and my English was okay, so I could have done with less, and with maths I would have gone for 20, like equal numbers, 20-25. So with English I could have done with less reviews. I could, in DIL I needed more, and in maths I needed
especially SWOT, like whatever
yeah,
we can,
yeah,
go for a lot.
yeah. So yeah, and the other thing is the attitude thing. So because it's much more mental exam, so I read this somewhere that you don't ace CAT, you outlast it, and I think this is a very good sort of idea for how the attitude should be. So for me, what I did was that I told people that I'm aiming for 100, and I don't want to go into any other IM except for A. The thing is, if and you can find someone who is also ambitious, who is equally talented, but they if I would have thought ABC are all great, my chances for B were not there because my CGPA is not crossing the threshold. But A and C both are pretty good. So I could have thought C is also fine, but C you get at 99.7. A in my profile you only get if you have above 99.9% if you want a guaranteed call from A. So that pushes you, and that attitude and what sort of you have told people and what you have in your head, because if you aim for let's say 100, then you'll probably not get that, but if you aim for 99.7, then you'll definitely not get that. So that these are two things which they determine then the quality, because quality is also how hard you work and what you work on. So the mindset and the attitude both make up the quality. With quantity, it's more like SWOT analysis, sort of, along with rules of thumb and just the time that you have to give, you have to give.
Alright, so while you were preparing, right, like you were aiming for 100% and that was your target that you should be getting around 100%. So while you were doing that, what you were focusing on? I'm very sure you must have seen my videos on the analysis, like 17, 18, 19, whatever, right? But about the 16, 17, and 18. So did you? So because there is this thought that always students ask me, or like I've been talking to a lot of students, and people feel that you score X number of marks, so you will get X number of percentile. Was it your attitude, or you were like, what, I care a damn about it, I'm just gonna go and kill all the topics? So what was your strategy? Like you followed my topic-wise strategy, or you followed marks for the strategy? What was in your mind?
So what happened with me was that because I was lazy with Crackpep, the good thing that happened was toward the start. Instead of doing mocks or studying, I felt good. Okay, I'm watching YouTube videos now, so I'm preparing only. So it's not like I'm wasting time. So so it was more like I'm binging YouTube videos now. So because of that, there were some things that, like you said, which I was able to avoid, because if someone follows those videos, they will understand how it really is. So I knew, thankfully, that that's not how it is at all. And again, you have to, yeah, and even with math, so one of the things that I had mentioned to you before also, so there's one video where you talked about level of difficulty. So when I told you, right, I wanted to make a strategy for maths, and I was not sure how to do it because I'm missing a lot of easy questions and all. So mid-October, I started that maths book. I kept aim for 20 days. I was able to do it in like 25 days. So till and then one chapter was left, I think, out of 20 chapters, something, two chapters were left. So till 10th November, I was doing maths sort of mostly. And then I thought I'll do DILR, but then I had to keep time for revision. And then I'm not able to do DILR. I would have liked at least 3-4 more days or maybe a week. And I think that's where also it went wrong, because I messed up in DILR very big time. Till 35 minutes, I had only done 5 questions. But by the end, I had gotten 16 out of 17 right, thankfully. But I had messed up. So the idea is ki, all these mistakes are people make again and again, and the reason is that they don't have the right sort of attitude. So with math specifically, I'll give you an example from your video. So you had told about how go through old papers, and then that the best way you can sort of have and also when you're giving a mock, try to understand how that mock is while you're giving a mock compared to the CAT papers. And then if, let's say, your benchmark or something of this is expectation of general difficulty level of CAT is, let's say, this much, and then for this difficulty you will attempt 12 questions first, and because they are generally 12 easy questions, so if this difficulty is generally 12 easy questions, 11 moderate questions, then let's say 7-8 tough questions, something like that. So you have to pick the easy ones first. So go through it and pick the easy ones first. So but if it's more difficult paper, then you have lesser easy ones. So you can aim that you can do 10 first, and then you can aim, the first 20-25 minutes I'll do 12 questions or 10 questions, and then next 20 minutes I'll again go for more questions, let's say 7-8 more questions. At least I can do, I'll not miss easy questions, I'll have a certain basic number, and I'll not make mistakes in gauging difficulty. So what I actually did was I went through all the maths papers of previous years, and I made a sort of table of the different chapters. And then I did this sort of number thing where how many questions were there from each. And then what I realized was the percentage were remarkably close. So geometry percentage, arithmetic percentage,
Exactly.
Yeah. And then I was also sort of looking at level of difficulty. And then that gave me the benchmark, both in terms of weaknesses of my strengths and weaknesses in terms of chapter and the level of difficulty. So immediately I could see results in my maths mock tests, and they were boosted because as time went by, I was also studying more chapters. So my syllabus bhi ho raha tha, my strategy bhi ho rahi thi. But even like till the very last day also, I had never been in a position where I'd done all chapters and revised all chapters, because it's very easy to, like, you can do one chapter today, but 20 days later it's basically like back to 30% unless you have revised and done something. So actually the CAT was the first day when I had done most syllabus and revised in my head. So I never actually practiced that strategy in real time, like at full sort of capacity. But even in sort of when I was not done fully, my numbers were growing in quant. So that is one example of how the videos help.
Great. So the LOD is the kind of a benchmark strategy. And again, so all the guys who are in the bucket of let's say 99 plus, they've all gone through this LOD kind of thing, all the C2C ka bacha log. And those who are not able to get like more than 80%, like even they did this, they got the same thing. But on the other side, like after the CAT result, a couple of students joined me for GDPR, and they were into their 80s and 90s as far as CAT is concerned. So when I discussed them, like with them, like, did you kind of go through this? And the reply was no, because not many people do understand that you need to benchmark CAT exam at the LOD level, and if you do so, life is actually sorted. Fine. So yeah, great stuff. So tell me, how many questions you attempted in quants on a day?
27. Yeah.
Perfect. And like you did keep in mind the LOD kind of funda, and you did.
Yeah, and I ended up with 0 negative marks.
Nice. Quants is something that we've talked a lot about.
Yeah, and my aim was to get like good percentiles in every section, because what I realized also was if you have messed up in one section, so like it's very tough to get from 99.2 percentile in one section to 99.7 compared to getting 98.5 to 99 in other section. So my aim was, one of the aims was to get 99 percentile in all three. And this is again something I'll tell, it's a very good thumb rule, that if you are aiming for a good score, if you just have 99 percentile in all three sections, and it can also be 98 point something, like according to what you think you are ready for and what, then you'll automatically do very well. So people who have got 99, let's say exact 99 percentile also, at any CAT year, they have got total percentile above 99.8 or 99.75. So
right.
Yeah, that is one thing that can be very helpful. That
Okay.
will give equal emphasis. Yeah.
Okay. So verbal was your strong area, completely.
Yeah.
So quant you were struggling. DLR is somehow you managed. And verbal, I think you were 99.98 in verbal, if I'm not wrong.
99.98 again. Last year also it was 99.98. This year also.
So verbal saved you. So it's always like you will be mastering one section and then two sections you have to take care of, and you will be sorted.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, so finally 99.95 got a call from IME also.
Yeah.
You want to tell people about your GDP experience and a little bit of how your profile helped you and sort of a GDP preparation and all that.
So after CAT, I was not sure for a few days how did it actually go. But then marks came, and then I knew sort of that I'll probably getting a call from A and all. So I had to start thinking about interviews. So the first thing that I did was I had a few friends and seniors who I already knew were studying in A or C or B. So I contacted them, and I had sort of a list of basic questions. Now they told me according to their experience, but I knew at least what I knew. One learning was that everyone's case is different. So you can definitely not think that what applied for someone will apply for you. So yes, you took some sessions and for GD, for PI, and already there were some old videos also. But again, people were live, texting in chat and all. So I got a feel of how people are, and I was joining more groups and your videos. So that was again the point where feel aa raha tha. And that is again important, because otherwise you feel you are shooting arrows in the dark.
Exactly.
So now another thing was that sort of profile analysis. So with me, my CGPA was not that great, but I've done few finance courses, and I also had sort of, I would say, good enough hobbies. So I was hoping if that makes up a little bit in interviews if I'm lucky. But again, one thing that I realized very late was that academics, they are non-negotiable, in the sense that if you're a fresher or you're still in college.
Yeah, for Ahmedabad, it's just not negotiable, that's for sure.
Yeah, and they are also make or break. So maybe your current affairs is not make or break. So even if you mess up there, they will not harm you so much that you were getting in before and you're not getting it now. But if you mess up in ACADS questions, then it definitely has a chance to do that.
Yeah.
So there are, I learned there are sort of 5-6 things for me. One was maybe they asked me from job experience. One was my personal questions. One was current affairs. One was sort of hobbies and all. And one was sort of my ACADS. So I made WhatsApp groups where I was the only person for
I
different.
remember that. You told
And then
me.
I put links and resources and YouTube videos and talks and messages and recordings. So that's what I did. And then I also sort of talked to sir a couple times before to sort of ask some doubts and all. And I did the same with couple seniors also. And then there were the interviews. So yeah, this was how basically it went.
How it feels, buddy, now, getting I'm sure that you're going to be there in IIT. There is no doubt about it.
Okay,
I'm very sure, and we're going to meet up on campus very soon. That is for sure. How does it feel now, Pranshu? After so much of hard work, a roller coaster kind of a life, started late, so much of thing. How does it feel, buddy, now?
The thing is, I don't want to get into either very negative mindset ki, the results are not out, so maybe nahi hoga, or in a very positive mindset. So I am currently in a mindset like I'm on the line. Okay, so I'm not thinking about it only because if I think about it, because if I think about it, I will either be anxious or I'll either be happy. And in both cases, my expectations can be sort of, as it. So, but as of how it feels, definitely when you give CAT other interviews are done, you will feel relief, and you'll also sort of realize how much you have learned and how much scope was there to learn. Maybe you did not learn as much as you could, but interviews, when you have to speak in certain ways, you have a limited time. You have to introspect so that personal questions you can answer correctly. And so when you do that, and even with CAT when you're preparing, so if you're not being honest with yourself, you say I'll wake up tomorrow and do it. You will find out very soon where you are bullshitting yourself. So in those ways, when it is all done, you will feel relief. You will see if you look back where your weaknesses are, where you could grow, and you'll also see maybe you know yourself better now. And also, it's for many people it can be that competitive feeling is back again due to this, because many people lose that in college because they doesn't have that sort of environment. And because of that competitive feeling, it can, and if it gets instilled in you, and also sort of just the habit of making plans and then sticking to them, then in going forward also in general life also you'll notice the differences. Yeah.
True. Okay, so last question, last but not the least. Um, it's a patent question from my side. How did I, help you in your CAT preparation, or how could CBC mentors made a little bit of difference? Like all those live, videos or live lectures, verbal lectures, YouTube lectures, whatsoever. How did it, make any sort of a difference towards your journey?
Yeah, so I also wrote a testimonial for this once, and again I'll repeat some of those things. So one was like I told you before CAT prep. If you I watched videos, and then so this was like a lot before CAT prep. For me started. So those that gave me the correct sort of mindset. Acha, it's not like you can aim for a number and
Right.
so things like that. And then that was one thing. The second thing was like more particular in terms of strategy. Like an example, I gave an example of LOD in maths thing. So that was closer to when CAT was. So when I was deep into my CAT prep. So that was one case. And then later on with interviews, again, when I joined the sessions, and then the other people also, I was in parts of groups, and then I got a feel. So unless you get a feel, you'll always be very, you're like interview me, they can ask anything. They can ask literally anything. How is it? So both your videos and sort of those live sessions, especially the GD part also. Like I really like that heuristic you talked about, where you have if you have to write about something, you can write about economic aspects, political aspects, the pestle case. So
Remember that?
yeah. Yeah, I actually told it to a lot of friends also. So even later on, yeah. So the things is you learn certain tips and certain things that uh, I learned, like which you have been seen so many students go through and then made sort of conclusions about. So that was sort of getting the feels and tips. And then also, personally also you cleared my doubts and gave me sort of motivation and confidence. It's going to be fine, and that helps. That support helps. So this is sort of how it helped me.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much for taking some time out. And wish you all the very best. And I'm very sure this video can help a lot of students out there in the market to actually understand that CAT is definitely all about hard work, but at the same time, strategy, attitude, and mindset can make a lot of difference. So thanks a lot, Pranshu, for this. And I'm very sure I'm going to see you very soon. So yeah, thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot again.
All right. Yeah.